Hi everyone, welcome to week 4 of our English 1100 class. This week you are going to be wrapping up your first writing project. So a lot of the activities that we're doing this week will make sure that that draft is good to go before you turn it in on Sunday. Let's take a look at our first task this week. As per usual, you're going to begin with some readings. This week, I would like you to read chapter 31, which is assessing your own writing, chapter 32, which is on getting response and revising, and then chapter 33, which is editing and proofreading. And we'll be taking the information from those chapters and going to be focusing some of our activities this week on those ideas. A lot of the stuff that you read at the beginning of this week will line up with the peer review and the revision activities that we are doing later on. In task 4.2, you are going to do our peer review activity. Your comments or your feedback to your peers should be posted by 11:59 p.m. on Wednesday. Peer review refers to the process of getting and giving feedback on a draft from peers. For our purposes in this course, your peers are your classmates, people who are working on the same assignment you're working on. Their feedback can be extremely valuable in helping you to make your writing effective. This week, you'll read and comment on 2 of your classmates' drafts, the drafts that were posted last week in the week 3/4 discussion board. Here I have a description of how that process will work, but then first I want to acknowledge that we have a tip over here. Check out the Student Success Gallery week 4 for examples of other students' comments on peer review. First of all, step 1 here, you can choose whose drafts you want to read. Early in the week, you should claim 2 drafts by posting a reply to 2 of your classmates to let them know you'll be reading and commenting on their drafts. Try not to claim a draft if 2 other people have already claimed it. That way we can hopefully ensure that everyone gets some feedback on their paper. If everyone is claiming just one person's draft, well, then obviously that's a bunch of people who aren't going to be receiving feedback on their work. So as best as you can, try to claim people's drafts that haven't already been claimed. In step 2, you're going to read each of the 2 drafts, and as you read, you're going to consider these questions. Is the opening interesting? Is the overall number and arrangement of vignettes effective? Would a different order be more effective? Were there places where you were confused? Are people and scenes vividly described? Is dialogue used to enhance the vignettes? Do the vignettes focus on very specific events or time frames? Is the significance of the vignettes clear? Is there an overall theme or message that comes across to readers? Does the visual design enhance the overall collage? Consider using things like headings, your font selection, spacing, and other visual elements. Could the organization within the paragraphs or within the sections of the collage be improved in any way? Are there editing problems that you're noticing? And finally, share some tips from the chapters you've been consulting in the field guide. Have you come across a section or an idea from the book that might be especially helpful to your peer? If so, tell them and give them details about where to find that information. After reading each draft, you're going to write some comments about the draft or make a video or audio message of yourself talking directly to your peer. You're going to use these questions as a guide. If you type your comments, please type them directly into the text box of your discussion reply thread. And I have a video down here that will show you how to embed video or audio in a discussion board post if you prefer to give feedback to your peers in that way. Something I want to specify here, when doing the peer review, you don't necessarily need to answer every single one of these questions, but I will be looking to see that you have given pretty thorough feedback to your peers. If you only write a couple of sentences, if you basically just say like everything looks good, you're not going to receive full credit for this peer review activity. I'm going to be looking to see that you have thoughtfully, critically, and thoroughly engaged with your peers' writing. For task 4.3, you're going to be revising and editing your draft. In revising, try to use your peers' advice to make the draft as good as it can be. Also think about what you learned from reading your classmates' drafts this week and apply that learning to your own revisions. Try to really re-see your paper with fresh eyes. When you're finished revising, spend some time doing a final editing check to catch sentence level mistakes, grammar, punctuation, those sorts of things. Also, please watch this brief editing tip video for help with verb tense consistency, which is a common editing issue in narrative writing. For task 4.4, you're going to get prepared for me to review your writing. To get a sense of how I am going to respond to your draft and apply the grading rubric, read the sample paper attached above and watch the 2 videos available below. So first you're going to download and read this student sample, and then you're going to watch the 2 videos. In the first video, one of my colleagues is going to respond to a student's draft. And this is even though lots of every teacher has kind of their own way of handling grading, I will largely follow these sorts of things that are being said in this video. And then in the second video, same thing except with a rubric. This video is going to show you kind of what it's like to grade a paper using the English department required rubric. And so this will kind of just give you some insight into how I'm going to be reading and grading your paper. For task 4.5, you are going to kind of reflect on or take stock of your own writing. This is, even though you've been thinking about this draft a lot, even though you've received some feedback, you've revised it, you've edited it, before you turn it in, it's still a good idea to just make sure that you are accomplishing everything that the assignment calls for. Just doing one last double check to make sure that you are turning in something that you are happy with. So the prompts that I would like you to respond to: what went well for you and what did you struggle with? Who or what did you consult for help? Did this assignment remind you of any writing you've done previously? If so, please describe that work. If there's something new about this assignment, please explain what was new for you. Were there any ways in which you experimented or took risks in writing your collage? For example, did you try something experimental in the drafting stage? If so, please explain. Did you use photos or other visual elements in your writing? What did they add to your draft? What did they contribute to the overall effect of your project? Can you think of such elements you might have used but didn't? Which chapters or parts of chapters from our textbook did you consult for help, and how did they help you? Look back at the Developing Academic Habits of Mind chapter in the field guide, which is chapter 4. During our first unit of our course, did you practice or further develop any of the 8 habits of mind listed in that chapter? In what ways specifically? Also, what habit of mind do you want to work on during the rest of our course, and why? Finally, watch the video below about the uses of narrative writing. Based on this video and on your own experiences and observations, how do you think narrative writing might be useful to you in your future endeavors? Then we have our first page here where you're going to be submitting some work. First, I would like you to submit all the writing that you produced in response to task 4.5, which is the taking stock of your work activity that I just talked about. Please note that you are not submitting your final draft here. You'll be submitting your final draft on the next page of this module. And then so finally, this is where you'll be submitting your final draft of Writing Project 1. And this is due by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Once I have everyone's drafts, it will probably take me a week or two to grade them and get that feedback back to you. I know a lot of people are maybe anxious about their grades. They want to know how well they did before really getting too far in depth with another project. So I do try to get feedback to you as quick as I can, but it will usually take a week or two for that to happen. That is all that I have for you for this week. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to let me know and I will help you out.